Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Autopsy with Maddee P. I'm your host, Maddee P. Girl. What is crackin', queen? Did you miss me? I choked on my spit. I do that. That's an issue I have from talking too fast, I think. It's an issue. Well, these last few weeks, if you haven't noticed, first of all, I've done an excellent job. Okay, mind you, both with talking, the way I'm editing, not being so hard on myself. I feel like the podcast is really coming together. That doesn't mean views, of course, but my craft is really developing, and this doesn't make me as nervous anymore sitting in front of a camera. You know, we're getting somewhere. Now, these last 2 weeks, what have we done, queens? We've done a lot of mental health. We've gone over obsession. We have gone over depersonalization, inability to move forward into adulthood. Just a lot of mental health kind of life things. Okay. We do have a very fun guest coming up that I cannot tell you now. But this month looks a little crazy for me. Okay. End of the month, getting these wisdom teeth ripped out by that one hot guy we talked about. Then my guest is coming on. Never had a guest. Very excited. But the end of my month is crunching together. It is important that I come here once a week and that you get what you want once a week. This is dedication. Okay? This is resilience, and we work for what we want. Now, glad that's over. That was a lot of talking. So, this week, what are we doing, Maddee? What are we doing? Not another mental health week, okay? You know, I figured because the schedule's about to get crazy. We're finna get out of hand with all this planning. I have some other really intense episodes coming up. So this week is about memories. It's really just intended for fun and to give me a break and to be lighthearted and to have a little fun on the internet. Okay? So this is just about me. So fuck you. So you might actually obtain a little bit of information if you stay around, but mostly this is for entertainment purposes, I believe, for the most part. Now, these last few weeks, we've talked about some very important aspects because I am trying to open your eyes up to understand that we can't get rid of drinking. We can't get rid of substance without fixing self. Okay? And like I have stated before, this podcast I made initially for the sober curiosity girls, for people who are interested in going sober and who might need a little help, who don't have a problem, and then also people who do have a problem and need some help. Okay? A little bit across the board. And I want you to be exposed to the real issue at hand, and it is you. Unfortunately, it is me. You know, it is self is the biggest issue at hand. And that's what I'm trying to get onto, okay? Which I've been exposing you to. Now, you know something else that we need to do as sober people is be able to laugh at ourselves, okay? We need to be able to laugh at ourselves. And when I first started this podcast as well, back in the day, a whole 15 weeks ago, I say when I started, as if it literally wasn't only 15 weeks ago. You know, I was expressive in the fact that vulnerability kept me sober, genuinely. There were a few occasions that I was really close to stepping out of line because I did not think other people understood my mental, where I was coming from, and the deep pain, of course, that is special, of course, that I was in. And it was due to a certain few women being ridiculously vulnerable, trying to get me to understand that they know where I'm coming from. And it might look different, and I might be 25, and it might not be the same as theirs, but we share a brain, girl. That's the beautiful unity that comes with sobriety. We share a brain, and I share my heart with these sweet women who look at me and go, no, you want to hear some shit, Maddee? I'm going to share with you something, and then you're not going to want to walk away again because you're going to know I see you. I think also, we don't talk about this enough, but part of sobriety, especially the beginning, is just kind of you think you're going to drink again at some point. So you keep working, but you're this could all be bullshit. I could very well go back to drinking soon. Then you hit a line that doesn't happen. And I hope that comes very soon for you. But keep up the hard work. And at some point you will be oh wait, I don't want to drink anymore. I'm good. You know? And another tidbit that helped me too. Someone told me to ask for the desire to drink to be taken away. This is not a religious podcast. that goes for anyone, no matter your walk of faith. If you want to ask your God, if you want to ask the stars, if you just want to ask thin air and placebo it, whatever, up to you. I find it helps me a lot. Constantly asking every day for the desire to drink to be taken away. Take it away from me, girl. Have it, sister. I don't want that shit. And I have to do that often. It also does something in my brain. So, could be placebo. Anyways, does something in my brain and it really helps me. So yeah, we all know I love that shit, girl. Let go. Tell people your story and say it loud because you don't know who you're helping. And that's why I say nobody watches this shit, but it could be one person who really needs help and is like, Maddie, I'm lying so much, or I did this one thing so long ago. I'm really fucked mentally. And, of course goes with that. There are many things in my past I will never talk about, ever. Love you. Not happening. A lot of things need to stay off the internet. A. B. I have talked about the triggerness that can happen with me recounting stories and histories and things I've been through. So I was careful in my selection today of some things to share with you for funsies, and just to giggle, keep it lighthearted before we go into our more mental health month of May. So these aren't stories for the hell of it. We're not kumbayaing. These are kind of recollection of things that were red flags. These are just a few stories that were things that were like, Queen, you're an alcoholic. Seek help. But also a few things from childhood I thought would be fun. Like a few things looking back that make me go, wow, you're a little freak. And you've always been a little freak. Sometimes you just have to look at people like for them to get a grip. That's all I had to do right there. We diagnose ourselves. There is no story too little or too big. You didn't drink too little. There is a spectrum that comes with alcoholism and with addiction. And I want you to see that, okay? This is why I also have never gone over the number, how I drink, all that stuff. People have asked me on TikTok before. I don't need a number out there because people will go based off that. That's what I did for other people when I was starting to get clean. I was looking at TikTok and other alcoholics who were talking about it and saying, I drank X amount every day. I did this. And I'm like, well, I'm not an alcoholic. So that's why I don't divulge numbers, certain stories, certain things, because we diagnose ourselves. So just because I'm a lunatic doesn't mean you have to be a lunatic to be an alcoholic. There's a reason they call it high functioning alcoholism. I didn't really have that. I also dealt with a great amount of shame and guilt, which again will be its whole own episode like lying. But it was treacherous. A lot of pain was instilled with me during that time period. If you're not part of the program, you're not familiar. Step 4 and step 5 in the program, we have 12 steps. At the end, it's supposed to be kind of a spiritual awakening. It's supposed to be you aligning yourself and being honest with yourself. And at the end, realizing who you really are and what you really want. Okay? Step 4 and 5, we discuss the things that we've done in our life. We discuss the secrets that we've kept very deep in our chest that we think no one will ever hear. And I walked that walk for a long time, and it was really painful. I think I posted the other day on TikTok as well about how I feel like I'm happy, and I mean that. And you know what I think really blossomed that into place, because obviously I've done a lot of work to be happy, was the shame and guilt recipe kind of coming to a close a little bit. Now I'm not feeling such deep, horrid pains of the past like I used to. And I think that is directly 100% correlated with my happiness and with what I feel now, if we're being completely honest. So, also if you're not aware about the shame and guilt, we will talk about it. It is really painful. And that's part of the reason I want to talk about this, to let you know shit ain't that bad. And then the fourth and fifth step, by the way, were my hardest, my absolute gut-wrenchingly hardest, but also my absolute favorite at the same time. It wasn't my favorite while doing it, but I got the most out of this step. I get a lot from all my steps. I do love step work. We'll talk about step work too in a lighthearted way because we don't talk about the program. But we will talk a little bit about it. It was just my favorite. I got the most from it. I do love step work. It really helps me. And it's a step by step, it gives me a guide to what I'm looking for, which is sanity and peace. So to work on somebody to that type of levels is very helpful for me as a human. So it is something I utilize heavily, and I implore you, if you're interested, to get into step work or to find a sponsor. It's a fantastic route to take, and it doesn't overtake your life like people think. You work the program as much as you want to work the program. As intense as you want to do those steps, you will do them. But I recommend from the bottom of your heart doing step in 4 and 5. I am not kidding you. It definitely changed my life for the better. Because you don't realize how deep and dark and horrid those things make us feel. And in turn, cause us to treat other people a certain way, or strangers, or life a certain way. And life doesn't deserve that either. We don't get to bully life too, just because. She didn't want to be here either, probably. So I guess what I wanted to start with, like I said, that was a little all over the place. This is essentially a letter yap episode. I am so structured and so organized. It is hard for me to just have an episode where we're talking and I'm just me and we're just talking about shit, okay? I've been working this shit for 15 weeks now. We got a system. So bear with me again. And this week we're not as scripted. So I wanted that too. I wanted a week where I didn't have to be so scripted. I don't have to be scripted, but again, I need to be able to tell you guys in a chronological, cohesive way what is happening up here to get it down here, okay? And this week we don't have to deal with that as much. But damn, can she shut the fuck up? Okay. We're going to talk about some childhood things that I feel were signs. Not anything my parents missed by any means. Not in that way. But things were different in the early 2000s when I was just a young girl gracing this earth with this smile and charm queen. And I was a lunatic since I was a child. I've also been very fun, very laughter-y, and very loving since I was a child. So I want you to also remember something as we walk into this. Alcoholics share a lot of the same defects. Yes, a lot of the same poor attributes, but we do also share some very good attributes. You know what I'm saying. But we do share some good attributes. We do. Alcoholics are very unique, clearly, but we are also very unique in our heart too. And I want you to know that. I learned that from other women and watching them and realizing that everyone is different. Not all of us alcoholics are the same. But there are many, many good things that come from a weird, fucked up brain. We think differently and our neurons or whatever fire in a certain way. And sometimes we have a very interesting outlook on life post-healing. And we love people very deeply post-healing. And, maybe that's because we've looked death in the face before. And we've looked hating life in the face before. And it builds just an extra layer of love to us. So, okay. We've talked about it before, but a big telltale sign that I was going to be crazy or that I had an addictive gene, definitely I think more so is what it is. And I will be looking for these addictive genes in my kids, honestly, because I just know they're finna give me hell. I just know. I forgot I was wearing makeup. I'm going to the pool, so I put on wings for you guys, but I'm not actually wearing makeup. It's okay. It'll work. Now, big one is food. I was a weird eater. I've been through so many patterns in my life with friendship and what that looks like. And at an early age, I didn't have a ton of friends. I had a ton of friends. Okay, here's what I'll say. We moved a lot. I moved a lot growing up. It was always between North and South Carolina, but it was different cities. And that's hard for a kid. But I do think it made me extremely adjustable. I can't think today, but you know the word, what is the word? I fit into places well. I adjust well to things. I adjust well to changes, clearly. Maybe that's why I adjust so well to change and I work so well with time periods. But I do adjust well, and I do find my way well at all of these schools, regardless in my life. I didn't go through any crazy bullying phases or certain things like that. Because I adjusted well and I understood that I just had to make friends again, and when I was a kid, I had friends where I lived, but we moved. And that early stage of moving, I was in Wilmington, North Carolina. I didn't have that many friends. I had a few, but mostly it was like my sister had a ton of friends and their parents were like friends with my parents. And like, I loved those kids too. Like they were my friends also, but they're younger than me. And so food was really important to me. It gave me something. And I think as a child, to have something that spikes a level in you and really enjoy that and keep doing it a certain way, there's something wrong. And also that is a smart child at the same time. So like, I think I was a very smart kid, but at the same time, a child of like the age of 7 to 8 shouldn't be knowing that I need to follow things that my brain activates with, right? On a certain level, something like food, or like, because that's essentially the same as it will be with alcohol, that feeling kind of. And that issue followed me for many a year. I've dealt with starving myself. I've dealt with binge eating. I have dealt with all across the ladder. Again, we will have an episode about food coming up in May. I have some deep history with food, but that was a big telltale sign, like something about that to me. And knowing, like when I was a very, very young kid, I would picture what it would be like to like cut my stomach off. Not in like, I never self-harmed, not in a self-mutilation way, like dreaming of what it would be like to be skinny ultimately. Or I think you could put tape on it and like pull off and like the fat would go with it and it would just be skinny underneath. I know I'm crazy, you guys, like I'm crazy, but I'm being vulnerable. And I was a very, very young child. My parents, the community I lived in, no one made me feel that way. No one made me feel overweight. No one made me feel bad about myself. There was no one around me doing that. Other kids weren't even calling me fat. Like I had like maybe one instance of that happening. So I wasn't experiencing anything. That's weird. That's weird that my brain does that. That's fucked at such a young age. So I think if you can look back and see really weird and somewhat mature thoughts that you had that young, because that's a mature thought to recognize that it's very interesting. So that was a big one for me from childhood. And I think other girls would understand what I mean by that when trying to kind of map out where you lie and are you an alcoholic? Do you have mental issues? Like what's going on? You need some help, right? So that's a big one. That was a big sign for me looking back. And I still take food as a big indicator of my happiness in life, honestly. And in some ways it reflects where I am spiritually. And that is because I'm working on building my relationship with food currently, just like how I had to build my relationship, like we discussed last episode, with money and time and more human things. I am now building a much stronger and better relationship with food because how has that been a huge part of my life, a massive part of my life for 25 years? Like it has rewired me. Food has. Finally, we're to our first story. Early on, I was a liar, girl. Lying followed me. I'm not going to get into it because I'm not going to have anything to talk about on the lying episode. Whole history with lying, girl. Okay. Now, one story, and lying very naturally from a very young age. Natural for me. A kid level of lying should be directly correlated with how much help they may or may not need in the future. Let me just say, I have met many an healing alcoholic, who share this and who deeply understand what lying means and how much it does hurt. So yeah, natural born liar. That is another, we got food, we got lying. These are huge signs in my early childhood. Now, and I wanted to tell you guys this story because it's silly and it's dumb. We used to I went to school, a very, very, very small elementary school on an island in North Carolina. Very small, like very small. And we used to have something called RAP, which is recess time, like 30 minutes or 45 minutes in the day. if a teacher tells you to stay in for rap, it means you're in trouble. And during this period, you're going to have to sit in a classroom and write down what you did wrong and why you had to stay in for rap. And your parent signs it and you bring it back the next day. If your parent doesn't sign it, you don't bring it back the next day. You have to stay in for rap again. Now, we all know I was a baddie girl. We know it. I was in for rap every day. And if you miss rap or you miss the piece of paper, you have to write, I'm here again because I didn't give you the piece of paper. You know, this went on for a long time. I was caught. And, you know, there were many a reason I stayed in for rap. Many a reason. I want to tell you some of them, honestly, but I'm not going to today. And, you know, I outsmart this rap thing. Here's the deal. I perfect my mother's signature. Perfect. I could do it right now to this day. Just did it. Perfected my mother's signature. Same with my father's signature as well. I proceed to sign all of the rap notes for the remainder of the year, which is pretty much every day. I could count on this many hands how many times I didn't stand for rap, which is interesting because I wasn't necessarily like the class clown or interruptive. I was always a funny kid, but like I wasn't aiming to disrupt class. I didn't have a hard home life. For the most part, it was me getting in trouble for not getting things signed or not putting my name on paper or doing whatever. Okay. This school was also kind of bullshit at the time. End of the year comes. I'm like, I'm getting this shit. Girl, nobody can catch me. End of the year comes. My teacher knows my mom. I'm like in the 3rd grade, I think, or 5th grade. And so she's like, Susan, ain't no way you've seen all these notes and didn't think to have parent-teacher conference or something. And mom's like, what notes? This woman pulls out a bucket, like a moving, what are those things called? Like a moving bucket of all of my rap notes. And worse, I lied about it. I tried to lie again about the circumstance at hand. I just think that's silly. Is that boring? I find that crazy because like, you know, there's just something in me that thinks I'll get away with shit for all of time. I don't live like that anymore, but I just thought, you know, I'm going to get away with this shit. I was just a badass. Honestly, I was a badass kid. Bad. I think that's a sign too, you know, but being a badass kid can correlate to many things. Because I had a good home life and that was very clear and evident to everyone. It was like this child has issues, you know, like it's different for a kid to be acting out who like is going home to a certain situation, but to be going home to like food and shit, like it just, I don't know. Badass kid. Another sign of my alcoholism, I think. I think my issue was attention seeking too. That was something I struggled with, like with lying and just attention seeking, which will be another episode. I know. I like to talk about defects. Now, another thing I did when I was a kid, I would print out these advertisements, with lack of a better word, where I would write that I was taking this money to save the polar bears. Okay? I'd put it in everyone's mailbox and prepare to take their payment for the polar bears. Now, the neighborhood I lived in were like kind of older people and they loved us kids. I came from like a larger family and my neighbors had kids. So like they low-key loved us kids. You know, we'd come around with our candy or lemonade stands, doing whatever. I had some people give me some money for that polar bear shit. I kept every dollar. I knew when I put that polar bear thing in, I don't think my mom even knows about it to this day. I knew when I put that polar bear thing in, I was getting some change back, girl. I don't even know what I did with that money. Like, probably, my fat ass probably bought something to eat, honestly. But, yeah. I thought that was a fun lying one. Because, like, what? Like, 7-year-old mastermind something to that extent? Like, why did I know that I could lie to these people and get money from it? Why did I know that? Where did I learn that? It wasn't from my parents. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. That's what makes me think I was in my last life I was like a con artist. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe in my last life I was like a badass, like con artist, scammer, liar and cheater. In this life, if I didn't come to turn, maybe it was like a threat. Like if in this life, if you don't come to turn and clean up, you are going to go to hell forever. I wrote in here to tell you guys that there are a lot of attributes that we share that are good. For example, I was also very compassionate and loving, and I stood up to bullies on multiple accounts. I did not take no shit, and I did not like other people having their feelings hurt. I did not like that as a young child too. So you see the like dichotomy in me. I don't know. I'm honestly Robin Hood core. That's what I give. Like, so now this is the last kind of tidbit from my childhood, but I thought people would either relate to this. You know, this is more so for fun, but also for you to map out where you think you might lie. And I had serious troubles from very early on, grasping death. I know, and grasping life after death. I was like 5. I was deeply disturbed by this. Like I was having a lot of existential crises at a very young age. I would go in my mom's room like every night. I also couldn't sleep well. This was common in my early childhood, like, and I would get really frustrated and I would go to my mom's room every night, pretty much. And I would be like, Mom, wake up. What if you die? And she'd be like, honey, what? And I'd be like, what if Dad dies? You guys are like in nothingness forever? And she's like, no, honey, you go to heaven. And I'm like, well, what if heaven's not real? She's like, well, you should pray about it. Yada, yada, yada. I don't know. Again, I didn't learn this anywhere crazy. I did have 2 older brothers growing up. They were protective of us and they didn't let us see or hear things. I was not exposed to anything crazy. My church was like one of those cool, non-denominational, like the millennial version. You know what I'm talking about? That was the church. And we had our own whole kids cool area too. So we didn't I wasn't exposed to these theories and these crazy ideals in life. And following me up until now, we can see I'm a very existential person. It interests me and or looms over me and follows me. And I don't understand why it's not like that for others, but it blossomed in me from the day I was born, honestly. And to me, that gives like a sign of some sort, you know, and I feel like the other girlies that were so existential so early on will understand that. I feel like there was a sign there because that existential shit follows me and causes me to do a lot of weird things. I don't think anything's wrong with it, but it's at the base of almost all of my pain is like me freaking out about forever, honestly, and about darkness forever. I don't think about it the same because I'm an adult now and I'm on earth. I'm in life right now. And I've illustrated in the last few podcasts how I came to terms with that. And I think that's why I have to seek so much out in these existential, very emotional ways because I'm oddly deep in that manner. And the crevice goes down and down. So I think that is a personal recipe thing for myself. Did you guys also, I think part of me was curious, did you guys also have that when you were younger? My sister didn't have that. Of being like, so what happens if you and daddy die? Like, what? And I'd be like 5 and be like, so what if you guys get divorced? Who do I live with? And my mom would be like, we're not getting a divorce, honey. Where'd you hear that? And I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't even allowed to watch TV like that. I don't fucking know. You know, I don't know. And that's why I wonder if things are nature versus nurture because it's giving nature. I'm nature. I'm not nurture. I'm not a result of the environment I was raised in. I think if I was a result, we wouldn't be sitting here. And I'd probably be a little further ahead in life if I was a result. If I was a result of my environment. So part of me is like, this nature and nurture, I just fucking ceased that shit. Now, on that count, I also had weird things where I'd be like, our house is going to light on fire and we're going to lose everything. So I used to have these fire boxes and water boxes because we're on the coast. We had a lot of hurricanes and I would leave them I would put them in my closet and I would like write my name on it, and it'd be like my favorite pair of shoes and like my stuffed animal and like certain things I have to have if we were to need to escape. And, no one ever threatened escape on me. So I didn't even really have to evacuate. So I don't even, you see that? Just, I was just born with this anxiety and this like pain, I don't know. No, I'm going to do a few stories. I don't know what the point of that was. Kind of like, that's the issue. I think there has to be a point to everything, but you can just click on this podcast to laugh with me and be like, what the fuck, girl? So it doesn't have to have a point. I guess that's over. Are they yelling again? Are we serious? Basically, I was a badass little kid, and I know no one is surprised by that. I'm scared. My kid's finna be so bad. I wonder what it'll be like. Maybe I'm really hopeful that I'm like breaking generational chains of some kind. I just can feel it. Like these ideals and certain thoughts, I can feel it. We're breaking this shit. And my kids are not going to suffer in the same ways I did. Not at the hands of my parents whatsoever. The new day and age will probably have like alcoholism screening at their first grade fucking recital or some crazy shit. Oh my God, you guys, I had lice when I was 18. I still don't know where I got it, but I was 18. So it was like, what the? So anyways, now I wanted to tell a few, just to like, this is a short episode, but I want to tell just like a few dumb stories that are recent and not from my childhood that were just like, girl, you have the ism. Seek help. One of these stories. So I'm chronically online. This is obvious. I love YouTube. I picture myself in 2016 all the time. Fucking at Sephora. Oh my God. Watching Shane, watching Tana, watching Trisha, all the girls. I'm so glad. Like, bring me a little water now. Bring me a little water, Sylvie. Fucking I'm confused. So I love Tana Mojo. I love her. And she decides she's going on tour with that stupid fucking Brooke bitch. I was really fucked up one night at this place called Garage 75. If you know, you know. You go there to game, okay? You can drink and play games and skee ball and bowl or whatever at the same time. I actually love Garage 75. But I'm there and I drink Kratom. This is my only ever experience with Kratom, actually. I've never had Kratom aside from this. I'm kind of glad about that. Have Kratom for the first time. The world, it lights on fire around me. The world is lighting on fire. Can't find any cocaine this night too. I'm with a random person that I am never with. It was like a weird drunken mashup of a night. Like, I don't even know. I can't even, and the night isn't even the one we're divulging. So if you can imagine what my life looked like and why I hold on to my memories and don't share them, you can see why now. Because this is an average evening. Me just casually trying Kratom at Garage 75. You know, I'm stoked. I'm amped. I'm like, oh my God, this life that we live, bruh. I'm also broke at this time. Obviously, my whole addiction, I was broke. And I'm on my phone looking up stuff. Tana Mojo pops up. We're coming to Charleston, South Carolina. See you then, bitch. See you soon. Buy the tickets. That was like the last money in my bank account. Okay. So then I proceed to lie to the person I'm with and tell him that my card wasn't working or something. They had to pay for all of my drinks that night, which was a lot back then. Okay. Back then, not very long ago. Again, that was a lot of money. Okay. So we'll start with that. Okay. That was the beginning. So that's how I bought the Tana Mojo tickets, was high on Kratom for the first time. And last time, thank God. I think I forgot that I had Kratom that night and tried it. So I just like left my system and then it left my life and I never thought about it. Thank God. Because I feel like I'd be one of those Kratom bitches like in the store. That would have been horrible. Oh my God. That would have been so bad and embarrassing. Thank God. So Go to the Tana Mojo concert comes. I thought, so I opened my bank account and I'm going through the history when we get closer to Tana and I'm like, I didn't buy that ticket. There's no way I bought that ticket. We get closer and I get an email confirmation saying you bought that ticket. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually going to Tana. What the fuck? I'm going alone to this because no one knows who Tana Mojo is because everyone lives under a fucking rock. Fuck you, honestly. So I'm getting all amped. Yay, right? So excited. I worked that morning, but I'm going to Tana Mojo that night. Leave my job. Go to Bumpus. Rest in peace. We talked about them closing. Y'all know everything about Bumpus. If you don't, grow up. Go to Bumpus. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to go see Tana in a few hours, I need to be fucked up. Mind you, I went the day before and stole my outfit from H&M. I didn't pay for it. You know, I'm not supposed to admit that stuff on the internet. It's part of the story. It just ignites. It makes it, you know, it's just like, what the fuck? And it's honestly Tana coded. It's honestly uncanceled or canceled coded. I proceed to drink as much as I possibly can for these 2 hours. I'm like, I have to be drunk as fuck to see Tana. I couldn't even tell you how many shots I had. I had at least 4 glasses of wine. And I only know that because you can't buy a bottle there. Or can you? I don't know. But I was on the edge of pricing, okay? But I ended up having 4 glasses of wine. That's how I know. Who knows how many shots? Because my friends are there too, okay? They're not going with me to Tana, but everybody's hanging out, drinking. Who knows how many shots? And, you know, I'm like, how am I going to get there? I realize I'm fucked up. And I'm like, how am I even going to get to Tana Mojo's show? And I'm like, I can't drive, like, at all. I can barely walk. Like, I'm fucked up. And then I walk out, and there's this guy sitting on the corner for bike taxi. If you live in Charleston, you know about bike taxi. Essentially, it's like every other city, literally a bike taxi and a guy that takes you around in a chariot. And I'm like, oh my God, I never use bike taxi. Like, are you available? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, can you take me to the music farm? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Honestly, it's most embarrassing because I was trying to flirt up this guy. My outfit was low-key cute. If I wouldn't have been so fucked up, I think I could have gotten him. Okay? He ends up being really nice and understanding very quickly that I'm super fucked up. God bless whoever that bike taxi man was, because he even waited until I walked inside and like offered to get out and help me. Like, he was very nice. God bless him. Never ridden on a bike taxi. Or actually I probably have, but get on the bike taxi. I'm basically like flailing around and I pay this guy $50 because I had an extra 15 minutes and I wanted him to take me around in circles while I'm drunk waiting for Tana. I did throw up. I did. I literally threw up, like, on the side of my tent. Okay. This whole time too, mind you, I'm telling everyone I'm not that fucked up. I think I even had a boyfriend at the time. I literally, like, see, like, what the fuck? So, make it to Tana. Walk up to the music farm. After making this guy do all this shit, he's watching me. Get to the music farm. It's not even being held there. Why would a podcast be held at the music farm? The music farm is where you, like, jump on stage. It is exclusively for, like, music artists. Why would I think that? I don't know. It's at the Charleston, whatever, like, music hall, which isn't far. I look up and I can see it. Like, it's not far. But, you know, how are my legs going to get there? Bike taxi's gone. I'm alone in this world. There's a good bit of people out going to different shows, going to dinner, going to get drinks. I make my way over there. And the lady's like, where's your ticket? And I'm just like, girl, like, I don't know. And, like, I start tearing up. She's like, what? And I was like, I'm just stressed out. And the girl looked at me and let me go in. I had the ticket on my phone. I think she probably scanned it. I probably just can't remember, right? And I was drunk. But, you know. And go make my way to my seat. But first, I have to stop and get like a $30 cup of wine. It is a red Solo cup filled to the brim. It's a clear cup, but the size of like of red Solo, filled to the brim with Sauvignon Blanc, filled to the brim. I go to my seat. I'm obviously surrounded by a bunch of girls who are my age, all of which are part of a friend group. I am the only friend alone. this is why I love Tana Mojo, because we were all there for each other. Those girls were there for me. Like, they recognized that I was alone, like, very quickly. They all, like, made conversation with me and very quickly recognized that I'm the most fucked up person in this audience. And they're like, oh. And very nice about it. Very, like, helpful. Like, whenever we were leaving, people, like, waited for me to leave. Anyways, I'm shaking. I spill the Sauvignon Blanc down a girl's seat, like basically like down her back and like where she's sitting on. The girl didn't even notice. Until like the end. I remember her standing up and being like, y'all, I'm wet as fuck. Why am I soaking wet? And I'm just like, now, I spilled 2 cups of that Sauvignon Blanc on the floor. 2. God bless the girls next to me. Like, they were like, girl, what the fuck? And it was like, there was one girl in the friend group right next to me who, like, she was a really sweet girl who you can tell goes on side quests often, you know, and she's helping the fucked up girl. And her friends are like, girl, like, can we just watch this fucking show? But it was a great show. I don't remember it. That's the shitty part. And Tana means so much to me, so I hate that I can't remember it. But it was great. I'm pretty sure I cried like twice. And I was just like, oh, I'm breathing the same air as Tana. Like, I loved it. And yeah, spilled 2 cups of wine. I was just so fucked up. And then I left. And I don't remember at all anything. But I woke up on my parents' couch. I'm not sure where I went after that. I'm not sure if I got the bike taxi guy back. I don't even remember. One of my friends told me what happened, or maybe my sister. But it was just, you know, the amount of alcohol that a girl drinks alone says something about her. It says something. You know, that was signs of raging alcoholism. Raging. Who does this? And, you know, one of my favorite attributes is that I would get super fucked up and just continue to truck on forward. Like, we're not missing the function. Like, you know, and there is like a determination with that being fucked up, trying to remain cognitive enough to like skate through without somebody making you go home is pretty much the life I lived. So I thought that Tana story would be interesting for anyone who is looking to go see the Cancel Podcast live. It was great. And honestly, you could get super fucked up because we're all one in the Tana universe, in the Tanaverse. We love each other and we have like a little fam. So it worked out. Thank God it worked out, you know. Now, I was going to tell more stories. We were already at 50 minutes and reliving that story just now was very funny, but also like, I don't want to tell that many more. I really don't. I want to tell one more. That is just kind of like, queen, you an alcoholic, you know, just why? Why? And honestly too, I couldn't even post the Cancel Podcast because I went back and looked at pictures of myself and it was so bad. It was so bad. I couldn't even post. Not even a real celebrity. Like, I wonder what I would do for like Viola Davis. It'd be worse than Tana. So I wrote down here, if we're being honest, I was such drunk that I was sober half the time. And that was a huge part of my addiction. I would drink myself sober. This was a common occurrence. And I know it sounds crazy, whatever. And maybe it's just from me sitting in the same place, drinking for so many hours on end, but I would drink myself sober. And then I'd have to get drunk all over again. I don't know. You know, that there's a sign there. You if you're drinking that much, you need help. Like, what are you going to do when you get that fucked up? You know, throwing up didn't scare me anymore. It was a part of life. It was just a part of life. So, and I think that's why going through these stories, the ones that I do have are very bad. And that's why I chose just a few. So one time I was off. This day I was off work. And I'm like, girl, let's have a really good off day today. Most of my off days, like we've talked about, were predetermined by Maddee yesterday. My today has been predetermined. So typically kind of like super hungover, because if I'm off, I'm going to utilize that night after work before the next day where I'm actually off. Duh, math. So, it wasn't that common that I had the wherewithal, the energy to have a really good day off. But I do this one day, and this is in the winter, because days off in the summer was just me rolling down around on the beach, fucked up. Like, that's mostly what they were. Just getting fatter and more sunburnt and drinking more liquor every day. So the summer ones aren't that fun. Now this is winter. So I decided I'm going to go get my nails done. This girl at the time, a lot of nail places offer you alcohol, wine or champagne or something. Not all of them, but a lot. So I liked going to this nail girl because I knew for a fact she was going to give me a cup of something. Now, I tell her I'm off. So by the end, and her owner isn't there. So by the end, I convince her to basically give me a lot more than she usually would. And she does. And I leave pretty toasted. And I'm like, what am I going to do next? And I'm like, I should go to the movies. Now, anyone who knows me knows I love the movies. I used to go to the movies to get fucked up alone. Now I go to the movies alone, but not to get fucked up. So, see a showing coming up to the movies. Proceed to get pretty high too on the way. So I'm kind of crossed, right? And I'm already a little bit of where am I? Don't even remember which movie I saw. It was actually Pretty Ugly or Ugly Pretty or can't remember. At this place, you can buy double glasses of wine, so you don't have to come out and get a second cup if you're in the middle of a movie. So, of course, I buy the double at this movie theater. Buy the double. Go into the movie. Oh, my God. This was the movie. This is on my TikTok, so I won't go too far. But this is the movie where I walked in there, and it was another guy alone. Nothing ever came of it. But I genuinely thought... I was like, and this isn't my normal movie theater. This is one on James Island with the aesthetic. This is Terrace if you live in Charleston. So it's got the aesthetic. It's got a vibe to it, everyone can feel the vibe in there. It's a little different than being alone in a theater over at Citadel Mall like usual, like I am. So, I'm like, me and this guy are going to fall in love. I think I had a boyfriend at the time. Nothing comes of it. I'm fucked up already. I know. Are we surprised? How many times can I say fucked up in this podcast? Movie ends, and I go sit out in the lobby, and I decide I want more wine. So I buy a second cup of wine. And, I decide to go into another showing. This time I was going to see an anime. I think it was Jujutsu Kaisen movie. I can't remember what movie it was. Don't remember. It doesn't matter. Get more fucked up, okay, in this movie. I proceed to dance around the cinema. In it. I'm alone again in this showing. This is 3 p.m., but I'm essentially dancing around. When I come out halfway through this film, the guy sees me, pours me wine, and hands it back to me. And is like, this will be that much. I didn't even have to ask for it. Go back into the movie, do the movie, whatever. Come out and decide, where am I going to go next? I'm so fucking torched. Can't drive anywhere. So what am I going to do? I'm just kind of stuck in this movie theater. And the movie theater guys are looking at me like, is this bitch going to fucking leave? Can she stop vaping in our lobby and downing our wine? They're out of wine at this point. So I decide there's a restaurant near there. And I'm like, I'm just going to go have a drink and get some chicken fingers, whatever. So I sit down and there are these boys there. And they're taking shots. I'm fucked up. So I'm like, you're not going to give me a shot too? And they're like, yeah, whatever. And end up talking to them. Go to the bar with them for 3 hours. Mind you, I got to the movie theater at 1 p.m. or something. Nothing crazy. Or yeah, not late at night. It was early. And I proceed to stay there until probably about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I was not on drugs this day. I was not doing cocaine. I was not. It was just me and my Pinjamin and my wine versus the world. I don't even know what the point of me telling this story is, because I can't even finish it, because you can't even know what happens. But it essentially gets really, really bad. And I end up making out with someone. Lo and behold. Mind you, I have a boyfriend. So I keep this deep in my chest that I've done this. Don't know why. And then I have my boyfriend come pick me up. He came and picked me up. This was a bad look. I was alone at the bar with like 5 men. He can't give me the answer, so he has to come inside to get me. It was just bad. He takes me home. I have to go get my car the next day. Me and Terrace Theater still have beef, honestly, since this day. I still get the hives when I enter that building. And just something about that. It's just like, why are you drinking so much alcohol? And why does a bad decision have to follow it? Why can't you just go home? Why couldn't I have seen one polite movie with one polite glass of wine, even if it was big? But that doesn't stop there, because I don't stop. I don't fucking stop. And I used to take pride in that. I used to be like, y'all can't drink like me. And it would be impressive, because I would sound like that and I would take more shots. But, I wouldn't black out though. So I thought I was meant for this. That's fate. I'm just a really good drinker. I'm really good at drinking. Maybe she has a problem. Something about that day, and I'm not sure if that was not an interesting story, the second one, but something about that day was just very like, I look back to that day often, because it just shows so much about me and who I am. And like, you can't even trust me at a movie theater. You cannot trust me anywhere. And also, it never mattered how much alcohol was going to cost. It didn't matter that the double cup of wine was like $15. It really didn't bother me at all. Like, honestly, the price of Coke, the price of drugs, the price of alcohol, no. Don't care. Take my money. Keep it. Don't care. I'm paying for the product. The product has more value than money to me at this point. Like, liquor has more value than $1, than $20. So, last thing I'll do is tell you what I did. I don't even know why I did this. It was kind of a chance to let me yap. And, some of my less embarrassing, still horrid stories. I will end on my last time I drank. Okay? Because I've been asked this on TikTok as well. So the last time I drank alcohol, I went to a speaker meeting. Me and these speaker meetings, a lot happens to me at speaker meetings. They just are one with my soul. I do good in a speaker meeting. Okay? A lot of revelations around speaker meetings, apparently. Went to a speaker meeting with someone who was in needed some extra help. This person didn't know that I went back to drinking. I'd been in the program for about 3 weeks. Okay. Go back to drinking. Like we talked about that before, my little jump around with getting help. This person didn't know I was drinking again. I didn't voice that to them because they needed help. So I went to this fucking speaker meeting with them. And before I go, I'm like, damn, is this a sign? Or should I just go to this with this person, make them think I don't drink, whatever, and call it a day? Or like, is this a sign that I really should go back? Leave the speaker meeting. It was so triggering. Hearing everyone talk about alcohol in that way after being through a bender, it just made me want it more that day. And, so I think I don't even remember exactly like timeline wise, like how many days I drank before that. If I was hungover, I'm sure I was. Like, I don't remember exactly the circumstance. But I proceeded to leave the speaker meeting and I go to Charleston Sports Pub. If you live in Charleston, you know about Charleston Sports Pub. Girl, right up the street from my house. I proceed to get absolutely tanked. Have I shared this story before? Well, if I have, then sorry. But I proceed to take a bunch of shots. And then I went home alone. And I drove. Something else I could be vulnerable with real quick while we're doing an episode like this. Sorry, I'd already told that story. So don't feel bad. of how you drank when you last drank, what happened. I didn't expect to get drunk that day and still want sobriety. I didn't expect that. I expected to wake up in a very sad emotional state and not know where to go next, whether that looked like alcohol recovery. That's just what I expected my day to look like, let alone the fact that I would chase sobriety after, So just some transparency. I was going to tell a few more stories, but we're already at an hour something. And, that was enough. And that's just a few variations of me being an alcoholic and my inability to stop drinking, which is kind of comedic. And if you heard some of the things I've done, you would feel a lot better about yourself. So just remember that. I'm not sharing everything. I'm sharing the good stories. I'm sharing the good ones. Okay. So that's all this week. Just a little fun, just a little help in decision making and understanding that there is no alcoholism too small to need fixing. You don't have to have terror stories like me to be an alcoholic. Just some examples, some lightheartedness. So I love you guys. Have a good week. Bye.